My name is Evelyn Harper. I am 36 years old. 3 days before my birthday, my bank account went into the negative, minus $21,400. I was standing at the pharmacy checkout with a pack of vitamins and a bottle of water when the card reader threw an error. The girl behind the register swiped the card again, then again. I smiled. That polite, reassuring smile you give when you are sure everything is about to fix itself, but nothing fixed itself. Insufficient funds, she said quietly. Insufficient. A word that made no sense, because 2 days prior there was over $20,000 in that account. I knew for a fact. I had checked. I stepped aside, opened my banking app, and saw the transaction. $21,400. Deducted. Travel. September, Italy. 5 tickets, a beachfront hotel, a private transfer, dinners. 5 passengers, my father, my mother, my brother, my aunt, and my grandmother. Not me. When I called my father, he picked up right away. I didn't even get a chance to start. We were going to tell you later, he said. It's a surprise. For whom? I asked. He paused and said, for the family. I stood in the middle of that pharmacy, and for the first time in my life, I didn't understand what that word meant. A minute later, my mother took the phone. She spoke softly, almost sweetly. You understand, sweetie, travel isn't a priority for you right now. You have work, responsibilities. We thought this would be for the best. The best. I said, okay. I always say, okay. I walked outside, got into my car, closed the door, and didn't drive home. An hour later, my grandmother called. Her voice was trembling. Evelyn, what did you say to your grandfather? To explain what I said, I have to go back 7 years. To a small hospital room smelling of medicine and warm milk. If you know that feeling, when you are always the person everyone leans on, but no one ever asks how you are holding up, stay with me. This is the story of how I learned my true value to my family. And it didn't start with money. It started with the habit of being convenient. I work as a nurse, have been for 12 years. A palliative care unit in a small clinic on the outskirts of town. People think it's heavy work. In reality, it's honest. Nobody lies here. Nobody says everything will be fine when it won't be. Here, people hold hands and wait. I know how to stay calm when others can't. I know how to explain what no one wants to hear. I know how to stay. And that, it seems, is why everyone around me decided I could handle anything, even without them. Here is what I have been paying for over the last few years. A family phone plan, 5 lines, under my name, since 2017, $240 a month. Car insurance for my mother, because you have a better credit score, $180. A monthly transfer to my brother, $200. He called it temporary. My father's storage unit, $110. Tools he doesn't even use. Subscriptions, services, small things. Another $90. I never called it supporting my family. I called it helping out a little, because if you call things by their real names, they become reality. And I didn't want to face that reality. And then there was one more thing. A card. I opened it when I was 23. Credit limit, $25,000. Balance, 0. It sat in a box under my bed with my documents. I barely used it. The statements went to my parents' house. I never changed the address. There was no need. I trusted them. In July, my brother posted a photo, a glass of wine. The caption read, debt-free, starting a new life. I liked the post, closed the app, and went to work. I was happy for him. I didn't ask how. My grandfather called me every Sunday. Ever since I turned 20, he was the only person who asked, did you eat? Did you sleep? Are you okay? His name was Arthur Harper. He was 85. He served in the Navy. He lived in Italy for 3 years. He used to tell stories about the sea, the port, and the woman he met there. My grandmother. He loved that country the way people love only one thing in their lives. And here is what no one in the family ever said out loud. When my father's business went bankrupt, it was my grandfather who bought them their house. In full. In cash. And he never asked for a single dollar back. In August, he stopped calling. At first, he was busy. Then I'll call you back. Then, short conversations. Cold. Polite. He was never polite with me. He was real with me. I called, I texted, I deleted messages. I apologized for things I didn't understand. In September, he was the first to hang up, for the first time in 16 years. In March, I took him to the doctor. I sat outside the room and heard, "You shouldn't put this off any longer." I knew what that meant. We all know. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. And that was when I started saving. A separate account, named Italy. $10,200 by October. I wanted to gift him a trip, just the two of us. I wasn't going to ask. I wanted to see his face when he realized what was happening. But 2 days before my birthday, I found out he was already going. Without me. With my money. And at that moment, I still thought it was a mistake. That was the most humiliating part. I thought everything could be explained, but it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. And someone in my family made that choice. My parents' house was exactly 14 minutes away. I knew because I had driven there hundreds of times. But that day the road felt longer. Not because I wasn't rushing, but because inside me, hope was still alive. Hope that the door would open and someone would say, "It's a mistake." The door was unlocked. As always, I walked in without knocking. The light was on in the kitchen. My brother was sitting at the table with an open suitcase packing clothes. "Oh, you came by," he said, not even surprised. "Hey, does sunscreen go in checked baggage or carry-on?" As if I had come to discuss the trip. As if I were a part of it. Passports were lying on the table. 5 of them, neatly stacked. I noticed right away. 5, not 6. My father sat at the table eating a sandwich. He looked at me, for a second, and kept eating. My mother stood by the coffee machine, her back to me. Nobody was scared, nobody froze. Nobody made a single unnecessary movement. And that was when I realized the scariest part. They weren't afraid of me. Because I had never been a person they were afraid to lose. I put my phone on the table, opened the statement, turned the screen toward my father. He looked. 2 seconds and took another bite. Chewed. Calmly. "That's my card," I said. "I know," he replied, without a pause, without hesitation. "That is $21,000. He wiped his hands on a napkin. "The family needs it more." That was it. No explanations, no apologies, no "we'll pay you back." Just a fact. My mother walked up to me, set a warm cup of coffee in front of me as if I were a guest, as if it were a normal evening. She smiled. "You'll celebrate next year, sweetie. We found a better option." A better option. I looked at her, not understanding. Did she actually believe that? "We were going to tell you later," my brother added quietly, "so you wouldn't get upset beforehand." I looked at him. "When? After the trip?" He shrugged. "Yeah." And that was when everything fell into place. They weren't hiding it. They were planning it. The plan was simple. Go first, tell me later. Because I would. Handle it. I always handle it. I opened a drawer. Not that one. I was looking for keys, but ended up in a drawer full of papers. Old receipts, batteries, pens, and underneath, an envelope. With my name on it, the September statement, opened, neatly folded, hidden. "Don't dig through there," my mother said. For the first time, a sharpness appeared in her voice. Not because of the money, because of what I had seen. I put the envelope in my pocket, looked at all of them, and said, "Okay." That was the word I had spoken my whole life. And every single time it meant one thing. I will accept this. My mother exhaled. I noticed it. She relaxed. Her shoulders dropped. Everything was back to normal. Because okay meant the problem was over. I put on my coat, walked out, got into my car, and didn't drive home. My grandfather's house was 14 minutes away. Everything in this town was 14 minutes away. I didn't want to go there, honestly. I almost turned around. Twice. Because inside, there was a thought. Don't ruin this for him. He is 85. Let him go. Let him be happy. But there was another thought. Quieter. Harder. Honester. He had stopped calling me. And I needed to know why. The porch light was on. As always, he opened the door before I even knocked. He was waiting. But not for me. He stood in the doorway with a towel in his hands, looking at me like I was a stranger. "Why did you say no?" he asked. I didn't understand right away. "What?" "Italy. Why did you refuse to go?" In that moment, everything inside me went quiet. Very quiet. "I didn't refuse," I said. He frowned. "Your mother said you couldn't go. That you didn't want to. That this was my trip, not yours." There it was, the reason why he had stopped calling. "Grandpa," I took a step forward. Nobody asked me. He froze. He didn't believe it at first. "They didn't invite me," I said. He sat right down on the steps, slowly, as if his legs couldn't hold him anymore. Then, "Where is my money?" he asked. I was confused. "What money?" He stood up, walked inside, and returned with a checkbook. Old. Worn. He flipped through the pages, stopped, and showed me. June. $26,000. My father. Memo. Italy. 5 tickets. The word 5 was circled twice, so there would be no mistake. I gave them the money, he said, so we could all go together. I pulled out my phone, opened the booking and showed him. 4 tickets. Paid for with my card. He looked for a long time. Very long. Took off his glasses, put them back on, and said nothing. Then he turned around, walked into the house, picked up his landline phone, dialed a number and said, "Where is my money?" and hung up. At 9:40 p.m., my mother called me. She was crying. "What did you say to your grandfather?" I looked out the window. He was standing there, light behind his back, an old man who had just realized the truth. And I said, "Nothing." He asked, I answered. The morning of my birthday was quiet. Not intentionally quiet. Not dramatically quiet, just empty. My phone lay beside me. I woke up before my alarm and didn't reach for it right away. Because I knew, if there was nothing there, it would be final. When the screen lit up, there were notifications, a work chat, ads, a message from the bank. Not a single happy birthday. I lay there for a couple more minutes, no thoughts, no anger. That was the strangest part. Then I got up, got dressed, and drove to work. None of them texted. Not my mother, not my father, not my brother, not even a formal message. Not even sorry, things are complicated right now. As if I had been neatly cut out of the shared script. At work, a cake was waiting for me. Small, looking way too sweet. With crooked icing, happy birthday. I stopped in the doorway, and for the first time in all this time, I felt something inside me break. Not because of the cake, because of the contrast. A colleague waved at me. "Get over here. We thought you were going to be late." They didn't know. Nobody knew. I smiled, for real, for the first time in days. "Thank you," I said. And that thank you was honest. At lunch, my grandfather called. "Are you busy?" he asked. "No." "I'm outside your house. Can I come in?" He had never come over without calling first. Never. When I opened the door, he was standing there with a box, plain cardboard. "I didn't know what to get you," he said. "So, here." Inside were photos, old ones, very old. The first one was me at 5 years old. He was holding my hand. We were both laughing. "I thought," he said, "if people forget who you are, you have to leave proof." I sat right down on the floor and spread the photos out around me. "I called them," he said. I nodded. I knew. They said it was a misunderstanding. I let out a soft chuckle. "They always say that," I answered. He sat down next to me, with an effort. But he sat. "You are not a misunderstanding," he said. And that was when I started to cry. Not because of the money, not because of the trip, not because I was ignored, but because, for the first time, someone had called it what it really was. We sat in silence for a long time. Then he said, "I canceled their tickets." I raised my head. "All of them?" He nodded. "That money was for family," he said. "And family isn't a list of people. It's a choice." I didn't know what to say. "I left 2 tickets," he added. "2?" He looked at me and smiled. "If you still want to go." I looked at him, and for the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel empty. "I do," I said. That evening, a text arrived from my mother. Long, full of explanations, trying to smooth things over with phrases like, "You understood everything wrong and we're family after all." I read it, all the way to the end, and for the first time, I felt no guilt, no doubt. I replied simply, "I understood everything completely right," and turned off my phone. A week later, my grandfather and I were sitting on a plane. By the window, he was holding his ticket with both hands, like something fragile. "Are you angry?" he asked. I thought about it. "No," I replied. "I'm just not going back to places where I don't belong." He nodded. The plane started moving. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like something had been taken from me. Because this time, I chose myself.